to see, come forward to the council to see would they be interested in helping us with that endeavor. One thing about it is, it's not a dog fight, a dog and pony show, that the finances are very important. Because currently now, as you know, we have a audit that we received. Currently, as you know, the situation with the administrative lead of our treasurer. We're still in limbo to the fact that the firm who did the audit, it was a recommendation that she needed to bring forward to the auditors, and then they was going to come before the council to give us their finding. I was able to sit in on the interview, on the exit interview. Some of the concerns that I definitely have is the fact that we're coming into the holidays, and that's when the influx of our taxes start coming in with the franchise taxes along the holiday taxes. And it would be in the best interest of the city, in my opinion, that, on a contractual basis, that we would have someone to come into that office, the finance office, to help, the policies and procedures, and also with the fact that some internal control. Because as you know, the council, we're over the finances, and I don't want to be in that precarious situation that we was in last year, seeing, it's deja vu again, we're in the same situation again this year. And so at this point in time, I want to ask Mr. Rob, ask him to come forward to see if it's something that the council would like to and also I can't remember her name.
Naomi Allen, yes.
Ms. Naomi.
Oh.
And I want to make this for the matter of record. He's not a friend of mine. It's all about business and moving the city forward.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Is he the same person that came to us last year?
Yes, sir.
from Memphis?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And, all right.
Yeah, thank you for having me over. And that's really, I'll probably, at this point, have more questions than answers, I guess. And you mentioned yesterday that you had a meeting with the auditors,
Yes.
and this was for 2017.
Yes, sir.
And I think there's a car range in England that does your audit. I believe that's maybe what I heard.
Yes, sir.
And it's my understanding that there's some things we need to respond to as far as the
Well, we
city.
cannot respond to it because our treasurer is on administrative leave.
Okay.
So basically, that's holding up the audit process.
Right.
And like I said, it's very important that we definitely need to move forward, with the finances of the city. And that's why I'm hoping, with the county come in and subsidize, not saying, hey, you're working for the mayor, you're working for the council.
Right.
We're working for the common good of the city and also the
Right.
finances of the city.
And that's what
that's my whole agenda.
I can tell you, that's what, I mentioned this last year, and my goal is to help everyone out here, and so I haven't had an opportunity to meet the mayor yet. I was hoping he'd be here tonight, to be able to meet him, but, to be able to, you've got a couple of goals here. I think, there's some things with the audit we need to get answered, we as in the city of Selma. In regards to, you mentioned internal controls, and I picked up on that because typically that you have findings, typically there's some internal control issues that maybe that got addressed in the exit interviews that you'll respond to, that we can certainly help you with, in addition to just some year-end sort of closing and
Reconciliation.
yeah, cleaning up things before the auditor gets there so that the audit is not such a cumbersome event. And, it's happened sometimes. I think this is the first year Car Rigs in England has done your audit. It was Warren Everett before that. And so when you have a first year audit, sometimes they get in and then, things aren't maybe what they thought, and they start to maybe expand the services they have to provide, and that runs your bill up. So, what we've do in other cities is typically we'll come in and sort of clean your books up before the auditors get there to try to keep your audit fees low. And it tends to work out pretty well for the cities that we do that for. So, but again, we'd obviously like to get you an engagement letter and be able to work with you, but would like to, sit down with all the parties involved and make sure we know exactly what our deliverables are to you. I mean, you want to be clear with us what you're expecting from us, and vice versa. So I know this is sort of a first. We kind of made an introduction last year, but tonight will be a first step to that, as far as I'm concerned, in being able to work with you as far as what do you expect from us, and I mean, we can sort of give you a boilerplate on what we do with some other cities.
You can.
But as far as getting that accomplished here, we need to have a few more conversations with the people that are sort of in the trenches, so to speak.
Questions? Councilman Short?
No, I was gonna suggest, why don't you give us an outlay, a copy of services that you have provided to the cities, the scope of services. And then maybe once we get that, we can say, well, we can say we need this, we don't need this.
Right. Yes, sir, we can do that pretty easily. We've got, like I said, a couple of cities to work with. We have those engagement letters already for them, and we can give you here's some of the things that we do and how we package it all up, and then like you said, I mean, some of those things may be duplications of what you already have completed, and which is, I mean, every situation is a little different. So yes, sir, we can do that.
Can you give me just a broad?
We do different things for different people. So I mean, anywhere from maybe coming in just once a year and helping you get ready for the audit, all the way to serving as the city clerks for basically de facto city clerks for Livingston, New York. We're paying their bills for them, instituting all the controls and making sure they're all followed. So, we can, anywhere from the annual things. Now, I think in this case, if you call me in and I didn't have any other information, the first thing that you go to is cash. It's cash reconciled, and then you sort of move from there to accounts receivable, to accounts payables, are all these things accurate as best as we can tell. And then if you get those things accurate, then generally you end up with a pretty good idea of what your revenues and expenses are. But all those things have to be accurate first. And so that's typically how we work. We want to attack the main things that there's the devil's always in the details, and I know things like in the year-end closes you have accounting terms, but different accruals that you have to make, and those things take a little time to get put together for that to be satisfactory for your audit, but they impact your books a great deal, so you want to be able to understand them at the same time too. But the auditing environment has changed over the years, and what's made this service, us doing this service more and more, is that your auditors that one time used to come in and do some of this stuff for you. Yeah. And because of independence rules, they can't anymore. Mm-hmm. And it is, I think we're better off for it, certainly, but our practice has changed a lot because of that. And so we've gotten into more being able to consult with folks like y'all and come in and get your books cleaned up, and then turn the clean set of books over to the auditor and try to knock those findings down to zero. That's the goal.
Do you work with the R-134? I think that's the correct term, the federal grants and stuff reconciled.
Oh, yes. Absolutely.
Your services to other cities, have that decreased their annual audit costs because you had already did some precursory tool?
It has actually decreased to, I know one such instance, it decreased to half in Livingston, but these are not cities close to the size of Selma, but I can tell you that if we don't decrease your audit services, you fire us. I mean, you know, there's two things here. You know, one is the cost of the audit, and generally you get what you pay for, and we all know that. But at the same time, if you get an audit that doesn't have, you get an audit performed by a credible accounting firm that does what you're supposed to do, we assume they all do, and you get no findings, that looks better on you than anything. And then you have some peace of mind in here in this chamber that if things are being followed the way you expect them to be. I mean, you can sit in here and come up with a dozen different internal controls that we've got to follow, but if nobody in the trenches is following them, it ain't worth a dime. So your auditors point that out, whether they're being followed or not. Now, what you want to make sure is they're being followed, and so when you get your audit report back, you don't have findings. That's what we try to come in and do and help cities with, is to get those fines down to zero. And it takes a little time. It's not microwaves, so it takes a little time.
Also, too, do you have formulated policies and procedures with the departments and also the city as a whole?
Absolutely, as best we can. We've you know, some of the cities, again, these are not the size of Selma, so don't get me wrong, but we're pretty much involved in just about everything to one scope or another, because almost all of it involves in money, but we get involved in things over we got involved in before also.
If we engage your company,
Yes, sir.
and we set up a contract
Yes, sir.
for your services, is there any way to determine how often you will come down to engage our financial staff and throughout the year give us some indication as to where we are?
Well, that'll be spelled out in the engagement letter, in as far as what, and this is two-way, this engagement letter is a two-way deal, like it's a contract, basically, saying, you know, you would expect me to come deliver monthly or quarterly or however often you spell it out to give you a financial report that
Is accurate.
that you can rely on
I can trust.
as best we can.
And your
That'd
cost,
be nice.
and your
Something
cost
I can
will be
trust.
based on our
Really
ability.
nice.
Well, I mean, a lot of it's based on how much time it takes us to get that financial statement put together as best we can.
Is there any way that you can give us a without being precise,
Right.
an indication as to what this would cost us if we decided to engage?
I hesitate to do that at this point.
Well, I'm not asking for that, but is there at any point in time when we decide to move forward, then you can come back and say, well, I looked at your city, I looked based on some information on the surface that
And
our financial folks
Yeah.
have given you. Is there any way that you can kind of give us a ballpark?
Oh, yes, sir, absolutely.
What kind of money
And
we looking at?
What we typically do in those engagement letters, if you're asking me to, you know, when we come back and give you that engagement letter, what we typically do is have a range, and we can put a not to exceed, you know, sort of price on that, and we've done that with other people. If that answers your question, I mean, we wouldn't go in with, I wouldn't expect y'all to hand me a blank check. I mean, that would not be what I'd recommend.
And in the contract,
Whether you advise us or not.
I mean, as much as I'd like to, no, I wouldn't.
and in that contract that we have as recorded, if we don't decrease our audit costs, we don't owe you nothing.
Well, he said you can fire it.
I wouldn't say it exactly like that, but it's my understanding that, you know, just based on, the audits can skyrocket if things aren't the way they're supposed to be. They have to spend time, if they have to spend time to research things, then if we're doing our job, they shouldn't have to spend that extra time.
And also, too, your reconciling should be on a monthly basis, or
Well, absolutely. I
on a
mean,
monthly basis, because I know I have to reconcile on a
Once you
monthly
get the
basis.
procedures and cleaned up, you go to quarterly.
You go to quarterly, but first of all.
that's right. I mean, you got to create this, and I'm saying these things like nothing's happening now. I don't know what's
Right,
happening.
just in
now.
generality.
But in general, yeah, we need to have by, the 5th, 6th, in some cases the 2nd, you can get a financial statement put together, but everything's got to be tied down on those days, and it's hard to do by the 2nd, but it can be done. But your cash has gotta be accurate, and you gotta know what, what's going on with these other accounts too, so. But yeah, that at a minimum monthly, this just gotta be that monthly. And then, but as far as, we can talk about how often you want me to come, and let's go over them in fine tune detail as to what we see and what you see, and questions and stuff.
Councilor,
I'm probably one of the different ones up here, but we need you down here because we don't have no trust. I know I don't trust him here. But I want somebody who's gonna be, who's not gonna take no side. I want you to take my side. I want you to be straight down the middle. No matter who it hurts, who offends.
Right.
I don't want you to get here and say, well, I gotta do what the mayor said, because if I don't do what he said, I'm gonna be gone. You're not gonna be gone because we have you.
Well,
The council.
I understand that.
So I just want you to be,
Just take a program.
yeah. I just want you to be fair. You come and help us. Because I don't want to hear stuff, start hitting the news, be like, yeah, the mayor secretary came down here and told the assistant treasurer to cut a check for $600 with no paperwork trail,
Right.
stuff like that. I don't.
Well, and I want to be clear about something that, we want to put controls in place to prevent things from happening that you don't want to happen.
Yeah.
You should have documentation trails and all that stuff. It's sort of a different ball of wax if you're going to hold me responsible in case something happens and we don't discover it. And that's really part of the engagement letter is that, we're going to do the best we can, and even an auditors can miss. You can get an audit from Carr, and Warren, whoever, they can combine and do an audit and still miss fraud. So, that's the kind of things happen, so I want to kind of clear that up. I know you mentioned that, and that really wasn't where you were going with that, but I will tell you this in response to that. She may laugh when I say this, I'll be professional about it, but I'll call it like I see it.
See, that's something that I might.
All right.
She's right.
Yeah. It's just like,
You call Mayor DeMopolis, ask him, I call it like I see it.
That's all we need. Just a little straightforward objective.
Yeah, just straightforward because,
Sure.
I want to hear some things. We cut some position out of our budget. They funded some position, but I see some people, even though we funded that position, they still got paid on the first in that position. And they know, Mr. President sent the letter down, but they don't pay no attention to his letter. They don't respect him up there, but they still couldn't check for these people, and they know the position is defunded. And so I'm just,
You
I'm
want to
concerned.
make sure that the actions that y'all take are being followed through.
Yeah, just follow through, but I don't like,
Sure.
I don't like you treat one person this way, you treat another person this way. Use the council to, for instance, like I was saying, they use us as, so we defunded the position. So, the county defunded your position, go home. We ain't tell you to, sit nobody at home. Certain positions, we said, because like certain positions, we didn't know a person was in that slot.
Right.
So, but I could go on and on, but,
Well, I'll tell y'all the same thing I told the town of Gainesville City Council a couple of weeks ago. Gainesville's got about 120 people in it. And anyway, I met with their council and we discussed really doing a lot of work for them, but not near the fee. And but what I told them was, we take pride in getting you the information you need to make the best decision you can make. And you're not hiring us to make decisions. You're hiring us to help you make better decisions. And so that's been our goal everywhere we've been, and that's what we try to do here.
And that's what we need.
How soon can you come back to this council with your scope of services that you want to bring it to us and then
We
we
can
can
email it to us.
we can look at
I can email it, yes, sir.
That way you're gonna get some, start working through the process.
How soon?
I can email it, a draft, it'd be a draft,
That's fine.
but, sort of a starting place, I can get you something emailed out tomorrow.
Go ahead and email to the president, Mr. President, if you could, get our administrative assistant download and give us a hard copy.
I will, or just email it. I don't need any more paper around my
I
house.
want a hard copy, I don't put it electronics.
I understand, from your generation, I can see why that would be the case. I put everything in five drive to make sure everything.
Yeah, but like I was saying too, council,
That's
you know,
awesome.
this has been, something that, I've been advocating for over the years. Because, with the finance of the city, it's very important that we know where we are. And like I said, just like last year, it's like deja vu, where it's, it's standstill, where, the holidays are coming in, that's when the revenue streams are coming in, sales tax, franchise tax, then you're looking at the, ad valorem
We
tax.
just got a batch of tax.
Yeah, me too.
And it's important that we have some type of, internal control. And,
Heck, I don't think I've had faith in a financial document I received since I got here. So I would like to have faith in this documentation. If you guys do that, I'm all for it.
Well, to your point, a lot of cities get that tax up front in the year and get a little happy with it, and come August, they wish they had
a
some.
lot of them leave the hocus pocus with their cash.
Well, I don't know about all that.
That'll wear you up in the air.
I'll, when I email you, I'll include my cell phone number, President, if you'll put that out to everyone. Because I'm accessible on that most of the time.
Thank you.
But I think, council, I would strongly encourage you that we definitely need to move forward. Also, with the inventory clerk, keeping up with the capital equipment, project inventory, do y'all also help with?
We could talk about that.
Okay.
Sure.
I'm sure he would do whatever he can.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll
As
figure it
long as we
out.
pay him for his
That's-
service.
That always helps.
It does. I always want to solve much more successful. Helping people want to get paid.
That's right.
So you believe the crap theory, cash resolves all problems?
Cash resolves all problems.
You come in and
You
get
know?
us,
That's
you
true.
come in and get us on point, wow, everything, that would be a job
In and of itself.
in and of itself, that's for real.
Okay, I look forward to the email tomorrow, and I look forward to, council members, and also I give you a hard copy.
Okay. Like I said, I'll have my cell phone number here, any questions?
Good to see you again. Appreciate you.
I'll see you again.
Good to see you again.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.